hello, my little piggies. Welcome back to I'm a Bit of an Expert, a Peppa Pig podcast. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and joining me on this very hot day is the other half of the show, Matt Frost. How you going, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Josh, but I can tell you what, it is certainly not hot here. So.
No, it's certainly not hot here. It's been raining all day where I am. I haven't even been outside, which is very rare for me. So I was actually a little bit jealous about how sunny it was on a very hot day.
Yeah, it looked good. We went out for dinner and I took Beanie out just to get her out of the house for a little while for a drive, but it's been very bleak here. So
yeah, same here. We're right in the middle of it. But it's certainly not the case in Pepperville. The sun is out.
Yes, and it looks like, well, you know, in the alternate reality of England, in this version of the world, it must be at least 25 degrees, I guess.
I was going to say this. Now, we both lived in England for a considerable amount of time, and we're both Australians by, that's where we live, and Australia does get quite hot. We get plenty of hot days, but yes, when the hot weather would finally arrive in England for a couple of weeks here, people would lose their collective minds, wouldn't they, really?
Yeah, 19 degrees. I saw people taking their shirts off in the park. I thought
they're ill-equipped for the heat. I mean, it was always the tube would get really hot. You know, as soon as it got over sort of 27, 28 degrees, the tube would get hot. People would start losing their mind. Grannies would start passing out on buses and things. It was all sorts of anarchy. I remember the train things would bend or worrying about the train tracks, and it's just, yeah, they're quite good at handling the cold, Britain. But as soon as the sun comes out, the whole place just comes to a standstill.
Yeah, and it's sort of, you know, it's only what you're used to. We're going to have a laugh about it, but I didn't used to handle the freezing cold very well, so...
No, that's right.
Hardly one to throw stones.
Yeah, exactly. So the Pepper universe, Pepperverse is experiencing a hot day. So what goes down in very hot days? It's not just a hot day, it's a very hot day.
Yeah, very hot day. It starts off with the kids off to do their favourite thing, which is run down and have a good old jump in a muddy puddle. And the puddle is dry, and all they do is manage to crack it. So some very disappointed piggies go back up to mum and dad, and who suggests getting the paddling pool out.
Yeah, so the kids basically, you know, they muck up the pit, they run down. There's no puddle. Anarchy has fallen, but yep, they get the paddling pool out, and and then they all run inside the house, and then all of a sudden it's like a bathing suit competition.
Yeah, it's I quite like that all their bathing suits are just a variation on their normal clothes. So, Mummy Pig's instead of an orange dress, has an orange bikini, and
she's showing off the midriff.
Yeah, and Daddy Pig, instead of his teal onesie, has just got the old teal
Speedos.
Speedos, yeah.
The budgie smugglers. The budgie smugglers.
Just trying to think of a pleasant way of describing.
I like to think that maybe he all he's done is he's just rolled the sleeves down, pulled his head through, tucked them in, pulled the legs up, and it's the same onesie. He's just sort of rolled all the bits up into fashioned a swimming costume out of it, maybe.
Yeah, I reckon you can't be too far off. I don't think. No, actually, that's being a bit unfair. We've actually seen Daddy Pig quite dressed up before. I was going to say he doesn't look like he's got much of a wardrobe, but tell a lie there.
No, he's a bit of a fancy pants normally. So, yeah, he probably has a nice, splashed out for a nice pair of swimmers, really. And then the kids have got their swimmers on as well. And Pepper's the same. She's basically got the dress version of her swimmers. And my daughter, Olive, actually has a pair of Peppa Pig swimmers. I don't know if your girls do.
Just trying to think. No, I don't think they do.
I think she's outgrown them now, but certainly last summer we were rocking them. Very on brand.
Yeah, I think we've certainly got a lot of Peppa clothes, like tops, and even Beanie was getting around in a pair of Peppa Pig pants today. But Not
People are
sure.
going, that must be your kid. They're like, hey, aren't you Matt from the Peppa Pig podcast? You're like, yes, I am. Can't you tell? My children are all decked out in Peppa Pig.
I know. I don't know about you, Josh, but I can barely go out in public these days.
I thought you were going to say, I don't know about you, but the Peppa Pig people send me a box of stuff every few weeks.
Yeah. I wonder when that starts happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been waiting by the mailbox, but nothing yet. But I'm sure it's coming. It's coming. We don't have to worry about that. So Daddy Pig gets the old paddling pull down, and then it's a little bit similar to this. Sort of plays out a lot like washing the car, doesn't it? It's a similar vibe where they've got to go and get the hose at the top of the hill, and for some reason they've taken it all the way down to the bottom of the hill to do the pull. And Pepper even does the old hose in the face trick again.
Yeah, it's sort of it's very similar to that episode. It just doesn't really go very far. It's just sort of meanders along. Instead of washing the car, they're just sort of setting up the pool, and it's a very small slice of life episode.
Yeah, it is. There's other sort of little slices of life. And the funny thing is, it was similar to last week when we had the museum. It's just the family, but then we get Miss Rabbit again.
Yeah,
so it's like the
right.
Peppa Pig and Miss Rabbit show basically at the moment. So Miss Rabbit's taken time out from running the museum to getting herself an ice cream cart, and she's an entrepreneur, so she's just going, well, what's the best thing to do on a very hot day? No point sitting in the museum. Not that anyone turns up anyway, but is to bust out the ice cream cart and start shilling ice cream.
Yeah, well, I wonder if now that the Pig family have come by for their sort of fortnightly visit, she knows she's going to get bugger all people there for the next
Yeah, that's right. The only people who bother turning up coming, so I'll go sling some ice cream. And she's riding a bicycle, which seems very productive in this area, considering all the hills that are around.
I don't know sort of how her fridge on her little thing's powered either, but it doesn't. Yeah, I tell you what, I don't think I'd be much of a bike rider in Pepper's Town. So
no, you'd have to have a lot of gears on your bike. You'd just be on that loose gear, just trying to work your way up the thing. It would be pretty impossible. But although she does actually sort of. She does park on the hill. She doesn't drive all the way down to get to bring the ice cream to them. She gets to the top of the hill and kind of just tells them that they have to come up the hill to get the ice cream from her.
Yeah, she's no fool, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. She's like, if I got to go down again, I've got to go up again. I know that if you want that ice cream bad enough, you'll come to me.
Yeah, and the ice cream scenario plays out very, very true to life and predictable. So one kid always wants something different.
With
somebody's
devastating circumstances.
Yeah.
Is that how it usually plays out at your place?
Yeah, definitely. I think kids have to be at least 4 before they can eat an ice cream quick enough for it not to, just go everywhere. So
become a bit of a mess. Yeah, well, it's a bit of a. I mean, I can just, now the thing that falls into this before we get any further is that Miss Rabbit says that would George like a Mr. Dinosaur icy pole. So we've talked a few times. Is Mr. Dinosaur is he a character? Is he like a television character, or is he like or is that dinosaur one of a kind? But I think it's becoming more and more clear that Mr. Dinosaur is some kind of in-universe, franchise or what's the intellectual IP? They can put Mr. Dinosaur on anything.
Yeah, well, look, did she call it a Mr. Dinosaur ice cream or just a dinosaur ice cream?
Oh, I'm not sure actually.
Ice lolly. She called it an ice lolly. I remember that bit.
Yeah.
Because,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and he is yellow, so.
Yeah, it's a little bit off-brand, isn't it? But the packaging's green, so they get the packaging out, and that's green. That looks like Mr. Dinosaur all day. That's the Mr. Dinosaur show, and then the ice lollies come out a bit yellow, and then. To be fair on George, he didn't actually hold it that long. He actually held it less than the others that had their ice creams. I mean, I guess being in a cone makes it a little bit, harder to drip everywhere. But I thought that was a little bit harsh on George because he only had it for about 20 seconds in pepper time, and it already melted all over the ground.
Mate, I do need to refer you to the title of the show, which is Very Hot Day. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Maybe I'm getting a little bit, And then he loses the ice cream. Mrs. Rabbit's already chuffed off, and she doesn't actually try and, come back and sell him another one. But they basically just say, oh well, too bad. You can just eat Daddy Pig's ice cream instead.
Yeah, shouldn't do the right thing and share her own, I know. So, yeah.
No. And then they come back and there's this amazing shot of Daddy Pig sort of asleep on the ground, shirtless, and his face is bright red. I thought maybe he'd just gotten absolutely sunburnt. He hadn't been sun smart enough. I know there was a little sequence before where they were putting a bit of sunscreen on, but I don't think Daddy Pig put any on his face. So I was actually thinking that maybe he just absolutely, like a lot of British people, when a bit of sun comes around, no respect for the sun. No sun smart, not like us Australians who've had it hammered in our heads, since we were small children, and he's just burnt like a crisp.
Yeah, I was glad to see that they put some sun cream on in the first instance. Otherwise, without a word or a lie, I've seen people fall asleep on the hill at Adelaide Oval with the cricket and wake up in a pretty bad state. So
well, they're not actually wearing a hat, which is bad enough. But if they hadn't at least put sunscreen on, this might be one of those banned in Australia episodes again. Where it's like, well, you can't show this in Australia for a bunch of people going out in the sun and not wearing sunscreen, not wearing a hat. Like, I think the sunscreen just got them under the wire.
You don't want a very special Peppa Pig episode where they talk about melanomas the next week. So
no, we don't want that at all. I mean, there's you can make all the fried bacon jokes and things, but we'll save that for the bright sparks on the internet with their hot takes, with
their memes. Yeah.
So. We've seen them all before. We're not bringing us anything new. So,
Yeah.
Every time I scroll through those timelines, search on the Peppa Pig hashtag, it's always not much there. But in order to get old Daddy Pig up, they have to basically dump the paddling pool on his head to wake him up. And he takes it pretty well, considering he's lost his ice cream as well.
Actually, no, he does get his ice cream back. I do like how Mummy Pig has no hesitation in encouraging the kids to dump the water on Daddy Pig. Just, she didn't mind giving away his ice cream, and certainly doesn't mind giving him a drenching either. So... yeah.
Oh yes, that's true. So he does. I've just skipped to the end here. He does have his ice cream in his hand still. So George got over his ice lolly pretty quick. As soon as he got a chance to dump some water on his dad's head.
He's easily amused, young George. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then the upside is once you dump the water all over your dad's head and he takes it okay and gets to have his ice cream, you get a few muddy puddles to jump around in. And the funny thing is at the very end of the shot, they're so true to form that they run back and get their boots on.
Jeez, that's unrealistic expectations.
That's commitment to the brand, isn't it? Like, it's okay to jump in the water while it's in a pool in your bare feet, but if you actually want to jump around in the puddle, you've got to run back. That's what we always say. You must wear your boots there. Under no circumstances must you not wear your boots.
I just think that, people go on about, Peppa's a bad influence and she's a, bad behaviour, which I completely reject that idea myself. But, that's some good rule following. Like,
oh yeah,
like there's
you would have thought that they'd be trying to drag them away, from just rolling around in that dirt straight off the bat.
Yeah. I think on a very hot day, jumping in puddles is fun, but I'd be asking for my pool to be filled back up too, I think.
Yeah, you think Daddy Pig's a structural engineer? He could probably build a pool, like an in-ground pool out the back of the house or something, couldn't he? He loves concrete. Like, surely he could just dig one out and make a bit more effort, mate.
Yeah, I wonder if it's due to the hilly nature of the area that didn't start landslides or something like that.
Well, that's very true. Very true. I mean, they had to go to the bottom of the hill just to put a little inflatable pool in. So yeah, he digs too deep and the whole thing just tips on its head.
Yeah. We like jumping in muddy puddles, not sliding down mudslides. So,
So not a bad little episode. A fun little one again, probably on par with Museum, really. Some good moments.
Yeah.
Miss Rabbit, nice to see Miss Rabbit in again, but again, probably not as good as the really good ones we've had, but better than the early ones.
Yeah, definitely just a nice episode. It was as you mentioned, Miss Rabbit was there. The Daddy Pig falling asleep in the sun was a pretty good gag. You got the icy pole falling off a stick, which is very very real. So yeah, it was decent.
It was decent. So any extra closing thoughts before we send Very Hot Day home?
I just hope that they filled that pool back up. So. And the rubber boots, mate. There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way. They're kidding themselves. Yeah. Oh dear. Right. Well, you can follow us at Peppa Pig Pod on the socials. We've got give us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. We're sort of bumping up the rating. The show's still doing really well. People are still listening and getting in touch and tweeting about it. So that's always really great. We love hearing from people as well. And we'll be back next week with, I think, is it Chloe's Puppet Show? It is.
Yeah, and this is a banger. So.
All right, well, there's some sizzle for you right there. Awesome. All right, thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you, Josh, and good night, my little piggies.
Yeah, we're playing a tune and we're singing a song with a bang and a bong and a bang. Bong, bang, boo, bing, bong, bing, bing, bong, bingly, bongly, boo. Bong, bing, boo, bing, bong, bing, bing, bong, bingly, bongly, boo.